horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
Hello and a big welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Sunday Sermon Goodwood special, and Galway, of course, because we've got a full panel to go through the week's affairs with our very best bets. And with me tonight, as always, is John Ling of John Joe's Blogspot. Hello, John.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Bickley 14 off Twitter, Andy Richmond, former racing TV pundit. And we've got Catherine Fry, our lovely Catherine Fry, to go through the plots over at Galway this week. So it's going to be a great show, hopefully. And before we get on to the bets, did everyone enjoy the King George yesterday?
Yes, even I did.
I saw some posts on Twitter, like saying, they couldn't cheer the owner on, but they were cheering the actual horse and connections, obviously with a Derby, Derby connotations. That everyone wanted a Derby winner to go on and produce, and he certainly did that. John, did you have any views on the race? How does that stand ratings wise with you, etc.? And what did you think to the performance of Adayar yesterday?
I think he's on course to prove himself a very good Derby winner.
Yeah.
He's not there yet for me. I give him 1.25 for that yesterday. I think there's still a little ways to go, but I don't see any reason why he can't make the other, say, £5 up and get him into the 130s. I think he's good at us.
Where would you go with him next?
That's a tricky one, really. Because we've got the Grand Prix winner to think about as well, and I can't see him wanting to clash. One of them, I would imagine, would go for the Irish champion. I think possibly the Grand Prix horse, because they might be under the impression that's got more speed.
I think that's a good shout.
Now that this one's proven itself on quick ground, it has opened up options right at the back end where he could maybe. I wouldn't necessarily think a tight American track would suit him, but if they were careful with him, you wouldn't roll the Japan Cup out, would you?
No, it's interesting because we've kind of neglected the Japan Cup, really. Obviously, it's a race that obviously the Japanese are enormous on. The betting turnover on that's enormous. The prize money is enormous. But in recent times, we've not really done a deal over there. It'd be interesting what comes from this. Andy, what did you think to the performance yesterday from Adayar? Did Love run a race, do you think?
Possibly not. I think it was it ended up a bit of a mess at the start, didn't it? I'm not sure what Broome was doing, but the overriding thought for me, like John, I have him just about £1 higher, so there's splitting hairs there really. I thought he did a very good job, having been very, very. I thought he was keen enough early on, and I thought that could be a bit of a downfall, but he didn't half stay on well. And as John has said, it's nice to see a Derby winner going on and winning the King George, because I think that's what everybody wanted. I suppose you could look at it and think, well, if you look at St Mark's Basilica against form against Mishriff, to be honest with you, I think Adayar is. I would go the arc with him, with Adayar, and try and come back in trip with Hurricane Lane, as John says, to the Irish champion, something like that. I can't see him clashing. I can't see him running both in the arc. And that's where I'd have them probably in 1, 2, 3 order at the moment. Adayar just slightly in front of Hurricane Lane. I'm not sure I trust the Coral Eclipse form completely. And I'd want to see St Mark's Basilica do that again. But I thought it was a very good performance, and I thought William Buick did a excellent job on him. having pulled very hard early on. And after about sort of 3 furlongs, we eventually got him settled, and it was a good performance. There's a few wild cards hanging around though, still, aren't they? Horses like Manobo.
Oh yes, Bonobo.
There's a few dark horses still, holding their own. But I thought it was excellent. And again, I saw another question today, sort of winners and losers from the, training and jockey ranks this year. Maybe we'll come on to that later. But I think, you'd have to certainly say that Mr. Appleby of the Charlie variety is certainly one of the winners of the season. He's had a fabulous season, even though he got done by the old pingdemic yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But overall, a good performance.
Yeah. Well, I agree both your sentiments, you and John there. Catherine, who? I'll put it to you then, Catherine. Right, in a match race, who would win, Hurricane Lane or Adaya?
Adaya.
Like, so, given like even look, you think Adaya's superior? Yeah,
I do. I think what impressed me yesterday, 2 things about the winner that impressed me was to go that keen early on, but to have that much left at the end, and to also be on ground that he probably isn't totally at home on. He has got quite a high action at the knee. I was very impressed. So you go back to the old adage of good horses go on any ground, and you can certainly make the case for that. I don't think Love would have won, but she didn't get the greatest ride, I don't think. I thought David Egan on Mischief was fantastic. He was proper. I mean, when you've got a horse like, now look, I'm not a jockey, fine, they might answer this. When you've got a horse like Love underneath you, why are you hanging around waiting to see what your Pacemaker is doing? I just that boils my brains. I don't understand it. And she was hanging like a gate off the bend. She really was. And then all chance is gone when David Egan comes round and gets absolutely outrides Rymore, keeps him in. But they're fighting for the placings anyway. But I thought that was a superior performance yesterday, and I'm delighted to see a Derby winner go and do it, because when I think back to like the derbies that I saw as a kid, and maybe in recent years they've been a bit of a piss take. I think this year we've seen a proper derby, and I think that's brilliant for the sport.
Great comments, great stuff. Yes, I view it very similar to all of you, really. I don't think Love ran a race. I don't think Love's been the same filly this year. I think it was a substandard Prince of Wales she won. It's interesting to hear Andy's and John's ratings with Adayar. 125, John. 12, was it 126, Andy, or 126? Yeah, I was 124. I might be too generous. That would bring Love out at 116, which I think's been a bit generous, because I'm not quite sure, because that would mean Mishrif has totally ran its race. I'm not sure Mishrif's in the same form as what he was when he was getting the old big Dubai Dukes out there and the big Saudi Arabian Dukes macheted in. But yeah, apart from that, I can't disagree with anything. St Mark's Basilica obviously is the other one into the equation for the mile and a quarter races. That'll be a fascinating clash if Hurricane Lane drops back. I don't think there's much between them, if I'm honest. But what a great race, and I agree with all that's been said. Right, we move on to next topic of yesterday, which was pain for me. I tell you what, this was like. This was like landing on Regent Street for me, right? Paying the hotel, the old hotel. So you've got a hotel, and then you then land on Mayfair following up. I mean, the ride yesterday on Fantastic Fox is possibly one of the most bizarre things I think I've ever seen. And so not only did I have a large slab of pie on that before the race, I thought what I'll do is to cover my problems, I'll save the stake on Marsabit in running, because Marsabit under Holly Doyle had the easiest lead ever. So I completed the task of doing the lotting on that race, and I was absolutely furious. But John, what did you think of SDS yesterday?
Well, once Tinkler was out, I thought it was plain sailing, so I just got stuck in. So I was absolutely aghast, to be honest. I couldn't really believe it.
I mean, the amount of ground he gave was. I mean, I saw the horse on the way to post, got the red hood on. It was getting hot and bothered. I don't mind that. The sweating negatives are all rubbish. There's no data on sweating to say any horse runs post when sweating. It's a natural reaction for a horse to cool itself down. I don't really agree. But so I won't bother about that. It was just the fact that it looked a bit keen to purse, a bit buzzed up, and you're thinking this might pull its absolute nuts off. So I get the initial out the stalls, let's just drop it in, but then it's like after that he just sat and didn't move, and it's just astonishing, really. I mean, Andy, did you watch that race?
I did. From the point of fact, I was probably watching Guru more than anything. Not because I backed him, but just because I just thought he went. Actually, I always thought this horse had a bit of a screw loose. He actually went a lot better since he's been gilded and fitted with a pair of blinkers as well. And I'm feeling he might make up into a Cambridgeshire horse in some ways. I was also keeping an eye on latest generation, but he was very keen to post, wasn't he? Fantastic Fox. And I always think with horses like that, having let him stride on last time out, why not do it this time in a race where there wasn't any natural pace in it anyhow? And with the horse, sometimes when you just let horses, again, I'm not a rider, but you've seen enough races now and you see them and you think, well, just let the horse stride. Sometimes when you let them go on, they actually settle better when you just let them stride on. And, it seemed a cast iron opportunity to let the horse stride on and see if he did settle better in front, having gunned him from the front last time out. Seems a bit strange.
For sure. I mean, I think I said to John today. John was still perplexed by the ride this morning, and I said to John, I think those tactics were made up well before the race. In other words, you've gone like a lunatic last time. The horses ran too free. Let's drop him. I reckon that was pre-decided, and that was that, because it was just, there was absolutely no attempt. It was sort of Spencer-esque on one of his non-buzzers, where he just sits there. And it was rather bizarre. But then that's the kind of season I think SDS is having. I mean, John, do you think future-wise for King Power, what should King Power do, and do you think King Power will do it?
Yeah, like that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, do they ever sack anybody?
They're very loyal people.
Yeah, I mean, all that seems to be happening is that the ranks of trainers that they use seem to be ever expanding. They don't seem as though they've dropped anybody. I think you could probably find that SDS is still riding for him in 5 years. God alone knows what his mental state will be by then, because I mean, he's absolutely twitching now, isn't he? Really, I mean, he's just riding like a man devoid of conscience.
Well, his last 60 rides at Ascot, one winner. I mean, that's horrendous. You can imagine what he sat on. I mean,
King Power did sack the manager who won him the Premiership or the Premier League.
Actually, that's very, very good. Yeah, I mean, I hear me say, but do you know?
They've moved on from a few people there, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, only thing, that's actually a good call on that. Yeah, maybe then it's time for SDS. I think, like I said, John summed this up many a time on past episodes when he said SDS would be far suited better to riding for the kilt up on the northern gaps, belting out the traps, making every punter in the north happy because Joe Fanning sat on it nursing away 2 out, and it's the full SDS drive at Beverley up the hill, a furlong and a half out.
Did you see the kilt interview yesterday? There was a little pace racing TV were putting out, saying how fascinating it was that he never tells anybody to lead.
Honestly, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, the one conversation I had with the kilt over instructions and things was when I was talking about giving instructions to jockeys, and he said, "Well, I've trained 2,000 winners." And I've never given a jockey an instruction in my life. And I said, well,
Sounds like,
I said, well, if you give an instruction, you can make a chain 3,000.
That sounded like an extra from Braveheart.
And that was in the conversation, you know.
I thought that sounded like Macadder from Blackadder, you know.
Yeah.
I thought that was Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, it's spot on, John. I mean, Jesus. I mean, I can't believe the man's trained that many. I think that's the thing. And thing is, we've got it this week, folks. We've got the Mark Johnston brigade turning up at Goodwood, and you know the bingo card will be in operation. You know how many winners he'll train. For some bizarre reason, he does do well at Goodwood, but you know it's all scattergun approach. It's a bit like Mick. Yeah, a bit like Mick Windmill. You know, I mean, it's the same sort of approach. Speaking of, okay, we've got another question from John Hines. And he says, a good listener of the show is John, good knowledgeable in running punter. And he says, who among the trainers jockeys who have been the winners and who has been the winners and losers so far this season? Obviously, we've just touched on Charlie Appleby, who's had having a fantastic season. Catherine, I'll come to you because have you sort of any train? Because we've got Galway this week, and I'm interested to know who would be, say, your trainer or trainers to follow maybe at Galway this week?
Aside from the obvious, probably like the maybe smaller trainers in Ireland that do well with what they've got. So, obviously, two of the local trainers, Paul Gilligan and Norman Lee, and then looking at people like Matthew Smith and people like that. That's how I would approach Galway, aside from your obvious multiple entries from the usual suspects. In terms of, as you know, I kind of dip in and out of the flat season. I only really tend to watch the top class stuff, but it seems to me that God Awful are sort of seemingly back up there in amongst the top ranks, because they did kind of fall a bit. But I think it's healthy to have that competition. You don't, I know John will agree with this, you don't want to see derbies with 14 O'Brien horses and when the Pacemaker shifts them all off the corner and then goes and wins. You don't know who wants to watch that. It's a load of crap. So I think as much competition as you can have in any code is the key to it, really.
Yeah, good stuff. So Norman Lee is an interesting trainer to look at runners this week at Galway. Andy, have you any winners and losers this season? Who are you liking this season? Who are you not liking?
Well, one of them we mentioned in our preamble, Grant Tuer, who's having an absolutely tremendous. I mean, I'm old enough to remember his father, trainer Edwin, who I was always a big fan of. But he's had a tremendous. He's had a couple more winners. He's got 32. I think he's had 32 winners from about 126-7 runners now. And if you look at his sort of percentage runners beaten, it really is up there. I mean, and his winners above expected to get a bit of a statistical angle, and he's 10 in front of where he should be on the sort of FPs. And we were talking about, I've just seen him interviewed on RTV talking about the Racing League. And he makes some very, very salient points about it. And just looking sort of through the sort of Twitter sphere since then as well. I mean, you've got owners like Lawrence Bellman, who's put an enormous amount of money into the game, who can't run his horses in this Racing League thing, which maybe we'll get onto in a minute. But certainly Grant Tuer will be one of my stars for this year, and a couple of younger, one younger jockey, Marco Gianni, who I know Stuart Williams has sort of promoted heavily, and Godolphin have used a little bit as well. He's really caught my eye this year. And one lad who's been around for ages, and I always think does a really, really solid job in David Probert. You very rarely see him ride a poor race, or what people would consider a poor race. Really nice lad, very quiet, and starting to get some really decent rides now. I mean, I wouldn't have any problem backing him anywhere at all. And sort of out of the left field, and Catherine might have come across this young man as well. Wesley Joyce has caught my eye in Ireland. So he had 24 rides this year and 5 winners. And he seems to be a young apprentice who's gone a little bit under the radar. I know the flavour of the month over there, who's riding very well, and she rode a good winner yesterday, was Siobhan Rutledge. But Wesley Joyce, keep an eye out for him. And one, again, bit left field over here. Every time I see her ride, I think she's ridden some good races. Is Grace McEntee, Phil McEntee.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's excellent as well. It's gone a little bit, not quite under the radar, but I think she's ridden pretty well. As for people who sort of losers, I think Mick Appleby's had a really poor season. There's always this Southern. I know we haven't had Southern on for a while, and we've only got one more meeting on the fibre sand there, and the Crisfords as well. Since they've underperformed as well. And as a jockey, I really like round Haydock, who's very, very good round there. But Richard Kingscote seems to have not gone backwards, but he doesn't seem to be as used as much. He's certainly not. I wouldn't say he's riding badly at all, but he just doesn't seem to be firing as well as he was. And he's a jockey I really do like.
Yeah, I mean, John sort of half wanted Kingscote to sort of get Stout job, John, didn't you?
Mm.
Well, someone still.
I mean, it kind of suit for now. I mean, I know John also mentioned Spencer for Stout job, but he'd probably be stopping half of them anyway. Probably. Remember, lawyers. I use the word probably or possibly. Anyway, not insinuating Jamie would do anything like that. John, so what are your success stories in the trainers and jockey ranks this season?
I think a fairly obvious success story is Willie Haggis. I think he is now progressed into the not just the bespoke handmade shagging shirts. No longer off the peg, shall we say. I think he's now in that league where you're going to be saying every year, which one do you think is Haggis's Derby horse? Where, I think only the very best trainers get into that league. And I think he's definitely up there now, where, you're going to start eyeing his 7 furlong juveniles with just increasing suspicion towards the back end of the season. As regards the jockey situation, again, I'd just put a huge question mark over SDS. I think he's having major problems, and I'd be very wary of himself there. And actually, the Stout Yard that you mentioned earlier, I think they're in absolute terminal decline at the moment. I can't say what's going to do to turn it round. They had Regal Reality today, run an absolutely appalling race. So, really, you take that month, the start of the season, which I think I mentioned on the podcast, I thought might well be a false dawn.
Yeah.
They've been running absolute rancid, really, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, another jockey that you mentioned, John, was Siobhan Rutledge. Obviously, I watched it the other night. I think it's also called Beleaguerment at Gowran, and geez, I mean, she's very, very good. Big things for Siobhan Rutledge.
Was that on the one yesterday where she stuck on the inside rail?
On the inside rail, yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of jockeys, especially, like sort of not fully fledged, not got the wings yet, might have just bottled that gap and might have just, maybe took a pull, but get out of the way. She's made of iron.
Anybody wants to go and watch that ride? The horse called Beleaguerment in the 250 at Gorham Park yesterday.
Yeah,
it really was a ball. Sounds strange to say this, but a ballsy ride, shall we say?
Very brave. A lot of jockeys wouldn't have taken that or attempted it, but no, I thought it was excellent. I mean, obviously, the ones for me this season already been mentioned. Obviously, my trainer Grant Shewer, just terrific season. Trying to think of plaudits for others, but Marco Gianni, I think, is brilliant. But do you know what lit my world up yesterday was the interview from Rosie Margerson on after she'd won the diamond, the ladies' diamonds thing. I mean, if you cannot raise a smile or you can't it's so uplifting. And I everything about her, just her enthusiasm, everything about that interview was just top draw.
She'd broken her ankle, and she'd about 3 months ago. Saw a video clip of her sort of getting back to full fitness and everything. Yeah, there's a wonderful picture which I saw today of her sort of going past the line and giving it the full, shout. Who can blame her? I mean, that was brilliant. Yeah.
So she's a massive winner for me. Right, moving on. Just yesterday, just one more recap from yesterday, and we'll go on to a final question, and then we'll do our bets for the meetings ahead. I thought the Sky Bet status at York, Liam Jones seemed to be going 3 mile chaser pace on the Pacemaker. John, what did you make to that?
Well, I think once he come back in there, I think the shagging shed will have gone over his head as he's bundled into a van bound for Runcorn, and he'll be probably spending the next 3 weeks in a container with only a bottle to have a piddle in.
Is he recycling it like they do in Black Island?
I would reckon so. The trainer would be incensed, wouldn't he? I mean, man, for me, the favourite Sean, he's the best horse in that race by a considerable margin. I don't think we've got anything to worry about with that horse. He proved his Group 1 credentials to me there, the way he picked them up off that rotten pace.
Yeah, it were interesting down the back. It was like 32-33 I saw on two furlong splits. And I even thought to myself, I was sort of tempting. I thought, do I get striping Mohafeth in running? I should have done really, but it was one of them. I was thinking, well, it's a class horse. Maybe he'll still pick them up. And I didn't like Armory. That was the one. So I'm thinking I'm just not going to play. But yeah, it was shocking. For Mohafeth backers must have been seething yesterday with Liam Jones as well as the shagging shirt. Right, Andrew.
Liam Jones on it though. Really. I mean.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
You're not short of choice. It's York, for God's sake. There's plenty of people up there. You could have sent Sick Dave out in the blue and white there and said,
Sick Dave.
Wouldn't he?
Yeah, he'd have gone faster than 32-33. They actually went faster in the stayers. The 2 miles they did. Yeah, in the early stages. Anyway, well, Andrew Woodman comes up with a question. Thoughts on? I don't know if any of you people have seen it. It's on Star Sports. If you haven't, it's a Terry Ramsden interview, the gambling legend from the 80s and 90s. John, have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, and Andy, have you seen it?
I've seen it all bar the last part. Part 4 I haven't seen, but yeah. I've seen the other 3. Seen enough to have a view.
Yeah, I think. I mean, right. So for anyone that doesn't know, say our younger audience, Terry Ramsden was a legendary gambler in the 80s. Stock market player, come into racing, bought a horse called Katie's, won the Irish Guineas in the Coronation, ended up, punting massive punter, enormous punter, volumes that you certainly couldn't get anywhere near on today. And he was legendary in that way. He was no Barney Curley, as in, he didn't make the game pay in the end. But the first episode I felt was tremendous. I gave it a 10. I was like so enthralled after the first episode, thinking this is really good stuff. And then it really did fade away for me after that. And obviously Terry's probably unwillingness to talk and probably go deeper into the more sordid stuff. It kind of just become a bit of a Terry Ramsden promotion reel. Would you agree with that, Andy?
It's nice to know that he's still got his barnet. I was trying to think of other mullets in racing.
Yeah, it
But
is
one
a
of my off-the-wall thoughts. But perhaps somebody can put a few of those on Twitter. I couldn't think of many actually. Mullets in racing. It became a bit of a monologue, didn't it?
Yeah.
And whilst I'm all for the interviewer allowing the interviewee to talk, it just became an almost sort of ask one question, set him off, and that was it. Not that it wasn't interesting, and I thought the stuff about Katie's was interesting. The Cheltenham, I'd completely forgotten about Motivator and horses like that. I had to sort of go back and watch them, but it sort of became a bit of a monologue. But I think a few people have picked up on this point, and I sort of picked up, and I'm thinking, if you're such a maths wizard, how did you go skin? You obviously weren't a maths wizard at betting, which obviously, you can be a maths wizard and not be too brilliant. I thought in the end, it became almost a bit like, I don't know if anyone has read the Patrick Veitch book, and it almost sort of became a bit of a, as you said, Lee, a bit of a sort of promotion.
Yeah.
I would have liked more questions, but maybe, as you say, maybe some things were off the record. How would he have fared in today's markets, for instance? Would he get back into horse race ownership, etc., etc.? I'd be interested to know if there were any sort of limitations on what he was asked. A lot of it was very interesting, and you couldn't fault and people like him are always fascinating with the sort of the balls out and very ballsy approach to punting. But there wasn't. It was like all those sort of books or videos or whatever you want to say about personalities like that. There's never quite enough detail for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, to get the gory facts, it's kind of news of the world stuff. I can imagine there'll be some absolute belters that he's harbouring in there. John, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it did go on a bit in the end. He always struck me as a person. Sometimes I think when you come up from nout, as they call it, you can end up with a bit of a chip on your shoulder, and I think Terry did have a bit of that about him, It's like, oh, well, I was this long-haired. Yeah, well, we know you had long hair, Terry. There was a lot of people at the time had long hair, but then some of them more interesting stuff, I'd like to learn a bit more about his time with Alan Bailey, Rod Simpson, people like that could have a proper gamble, and whatever. I know he had a massive gamble on a horse called Cry for the Clown at Ripon in a cellar first time up, that actually ran in the Godolphin colours, believe it or not, because it ran in all blue, which was at the time Alan Bailey's wife's colours. Because she sold them to Godolphin.
Interesting. That's that. How many of you knew that?
No,
I didn't. Yeah, that's cracking from John. Yeah, like you say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like interesting things like from the mid '80s onwards. That were quite fun facts and things like that. Motivated to win the Golden Hurdle. Curly's best ever horse getting killed in the same race, that type of thing. But there you go.
Yeah. Catherine, I'd like to ask you Ian Davis's question here, because Ian Davis, good listener of the show, and he's in rant mode, full rant mode he's in. And he said, basically, Racing Post, cheerleaders for the bookmakers, advertisers, silent on the Sheikh Mohammed issue, playing catch-up all week after getting a humiliating lesson in an investigative journalism off, right, with BBC Panorama. And now, this is what it upsets Ian, giving a platform to Emmett Mullins. What are we saying to that? Giving a platform to Dirty Emmett.
I think Ian's got a point, to be honest. Has no one in the Racing Post picked up? Can they not find out why poor Voted the Rock ended up where he did?
No. This is the thing. For a horse of that sort of quality to end up, in a Swindon Butchers.
That place is just a fucking disgrace anyway. And I found it I found it very, very, as I'm sure a lot of people did. I was very upset watching that. It was very painful to watch. And you do think about, balls to it. I can't support an industry that does that. But then you realise that you're probably only talking about 20% of the industry, hopefully lower. But yes, there are. I think that there were a lot of questions to be asked on the back of that documentary, and nobody seems to have asked them. Apart from, I know that Lydia put her feelings in an article that I haven't read yet. Where are the follow-ups to this? Where are the tackling the? If you think it's wrong, why aren't you there tackling the BBC? Why aren't you asking Mr. Manure and Suede? Hang on a minute. How did you not realise that one of your most high-profile horses ended up there? On Ian's point about this Irish racing bent, but you kind of use it to your advantage.
Absolutely, yes. If you can't beat them, join them, so to speak.
What are we going to do about it? We can't do anything about it.
No,
You've just got to kind of just say, well, you kind of use this. But yeah, I mean, the fact that the Racing Post continually seem to show contempt for the punter. The punter, I meant.
Aye, we've got the C word on boss, yes. And we've already been told on YouTube we've got to have parental guidance. And
Lord,
you said you never said. You said I can't say that word, and you've done it.
I've just done it, yeah. But it was Freudian slip there. I mean, they said, well, I haven't read the interview with Emmett Mullins, but I saw a snippet that he says, we've got these horses, Tom, Dick, and Harry, but we're not going to tell them to run. Is that not total contempt for the punter?
I put them in my tracker, Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Couldn't find them.
I couldn't find them.
It's just like, I just whatever. There are certain yards that you know what it's all about, and if you're having a go, you just use it to your advantage. But I don't. I mean, I know the Irish are saying, why is it only us and Gordon Elliott that's getting picked on from that? I think that BFG, just done with that guy after that. To be quite honest, it's just Michael O'Leary. Well, done with him. What an arsehole. But yeah, we need to be asking the double green as well. Like, why did they move him from Henderson? And what the hell? Like, why did he end up there? It's an absolute disgrace. But that's not for this program. But yeah, I was probably as close as I've come to jacking it all in after watching that. But then you see how other yards operate. But there is a massive wasting problem. I mean, I was pretty disgusted to hear that, 4,000 thoroughbreds end up in an abattoir?
Yeah, that's probably about right, I think, yeah.
A lot of that has to be overbreeding, doesn't it? It has to be, foals that have something wrong with them, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds that aren't any good, but it's still an absolute disgrace, and my head's still spinning a bit after it, to be honest with you. But in answer to the main question, yes, Irish racing's bent.
Yeah.
On a total flip side, ours isn't much better.
No, it's all trickery and foolery. As those of us that's been in the game a long time, we understand it, and that's the way it is. But it's all good fun. Right, we'll move on now to the fun part of the show, where we hope to give you some winners for the week. I've got a nice couple actually, so I hope you guys have done your work, and our punters can be happy, because after me and John put them in the gas chamber on Saturday. We need a big revival this week with a bumper week, so we can plaster it all over Twitter and get more listeners and more followers, etc., etc. Right. So this week the format is that each of us will be giving our best 3 bets, and we'll go around third best, second best, first best, And so I'm going to come to you, Andy, for any thought. Oh, by the way, Goodwood for this week, as we know, they've had a lot of rain today, a lot of showers. It's definitely going to ride soft, I would think, early week. I don't know if it'll dry out or have a chance to dry out, but it's definitely going to be soft earlier in the week. So I'm going to come to you, Andy, first for your third best bet of the week, please.
Right. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is the official going now is soft, good to soft in places.
Didn't know that.
From the excellent turf. I retweeted it earlier today as a very good Turf Tracks sort of weather station site, and it's got everything on it. He even gives details of the dirty word watering, but we won't be doing any of that for now. But since midnight, they've had 32 millimetres of rain. So it has been. I've just seen some pictures of floods in my ex-homeland, which is North London. So it has been chucking it down. The third best bet of the week, I'm going to sort of go towards the end of the week. I'm going to go with a Charlie Appleby horse. It is doubly entered. A horse called Siscani, who ran last time when he was fourth in the King George V at over 1.5 miles to Surefire, who was trained by Ralph or Rafe. Just failing to complete a 4-timer. I thought it was a really good run. He didn't get the best of trips last time out, having won his three previous races. In fact, the 7th, 9th and 10th from that race have all won next time out. The 10th home was Just Fine, who could reoppose him if he goes in the Thursday 150, which is the 10 furlong race. Although I think there looks like they're edging towards the Wednesday 150, the first race on the card there on Wednesday, which is over 12 furlongs. He's still got a great Voltigeur entry. So I think Siscani to make up. He did get he got a bad trip at Ascot. He was still there with about a furlong out, where Surefire ducked to his right and proceeded to take him out.
That's right.
He's still stuck on well to be finished fourth. And I thought that was a pretty decent run, all things considered. And I certainly had him down as one of my horses I wanted to be with this week. As I say, he's in 2 races, the Wednesday 150 or the Thursday 150. I'd probably see either race is fine for him, 12 furlongs or 10 furlongs. I say I'm still interested because he's got that great Voltigeur entry as well, and the form of that King George V handicap is starting to stack up rather well from Royal Ascot.
Good stuff. Good reasoning, Andy. So that's Siscani in the, hopefully, Andy says he'll run in the 150 at Goodwood on the Wednesday, doubly entered, also in the Thursday 150, and holds that great Voltigeur entry. That's Siscani. That's the third best bet of Andy Richmond's week's preview. John, I'm going to come to you for your third best bet of the week.
Yeah, my third best is also on the Thursday.
Ooh.
And this is a horse that I think can hit 3 figures this year. And it's Austrian Theory, trained by the Kilt.
You get the kilt horse.
Get your kilt on.
Yeah, I think we've probably just found things happening a bit quick for him in the superlative last time out. Prior to that, showed plenty of promise in winning his maiden first time up. I could see him probably bagging the Ostrich Lady. I think there's enough in this that I'm concerned about stamina that he might just get a bit of a softie. Obviously, the Kilt won't give 96-year-old Joe any instructions, but I think there's a fair chance he'll jump out and be fairly handy. And as I say, I think he's better than an 89 anyway, so I think you get a good run for your money with that one.
So do you? I mean, Austrian Theory is obviously doubly entered. In fact, well, that could be a tip in itself, John. He's entered in the Vintage, the Group 2, and then obviously he's in the Nursery. So that's an interesting pointer. So, folks, obviously Johnson's thought he's good enough to go in a Vintage, and so if he goes for the Nursery off 89. John thinks that's his third best bet of the week.
From memory, Lee, the Kilt has got a very good record in those nurseries at Goodwood. I'm pretty sure he's at the sort of 1, 2, 4, from the millions he runs in them. But he's got a pretty good record in those nurseries.
That could be a really good shout from John then on Austrian Theory for that nursery handicap. at Goodwood is his third best bet. Catherine, I'm coming to you now for a different flavour.
Okay, so funnily enough, mine are all at Galway. So my third best bet is 28-1. Runs tomorrow in the QR handicap. It's an English raider. Harry Fry sends over Letarali C, ridden by Anya O'Connor, drawn 1, nicely drawn against the rail. Third in this race in 2019. Has been something of an enigma. Below par on lots of occasions, both on the flat and over jumps, but let's face it, in these colours you never really know what's going on. The fact that they've gone back to this race, and I don't think that it will be 28-1 come post time, so that would be my third best bet.
That's a very, very big price. Yeah, it's literally C there. The Galway 6:15 race tomorrow. That's the QR stain. Catherine loves these dirty stain handicaps. Yeah.
Absolute.
I believe 33-1 in a place, Catherine, as well.
Okay.
So if you can nick that 33-1, literally C is Catherine's third best bet of the week. My third best bet of the week, I'm going against Andy in a head-to-head. In the mile and 4 Unibet handicap, Andy's gone for Siscani. Obviously respect his choice. They ran in the same race. Nagano is my choice. That finished just behind in 6th. Obviously, Ascot has got a pronounced wide draw bias for the mile and a half. And the first 4 drawn home was 17, 11, 21, 10. 15 was the 5th horse. The 6th horse was drawn 2, and that's Nagano. I thought he was a bit unlucky in the run, the same as Siscani. And I think, obviously, with that massive draw disadvantage at Ascot, the inside draw's terrible there. I thought Nagano was very progressive. But I think looking at some, it's very difficult because we haven't got many early prices. And he's probably quite short, and he's probably around favourite or second favourite, which kind of makes him my third best bet because I'd like a more juicier price. But yeah, so me and Andy against each other there, Nagano and Siscani as the best bets. Right, now on to our second best bet. So it's getting hotter now. It's getting good. John, I'm coming to you for your second best bet of the week.
We're going to have a try-cast in this 150 on Wednesday.
Brilliant.
Pleasant man. For me, and by the look of things also for Bobby, he clearly thinks this one has more to offer. He's left him in the Garden Stakes.
Yeah.
Knowing full well he'd be bumping into 110 rated horses. So I think if he runs in this off 95, it either indicates that we've got a little bit up with sleeves, or that Bobby Charlton's just got a bit more sense about him than might have been the case. I thought this got a shocker from Skidmark at Ascot last time. He's shown enough to me since he was gelded that he's firmly back on track, and he's opened to plenty of improvement. And I think he can probably chase your toe on.
Well, no, I mean, again, it's strong. I mean, Dushan is a horse that I obviously fourth in that. I love Dushan of the shagging shirts, and it's good form. It all ties together closely. So, like you say, forecast and tricast, it could be a Bar Stewart special there, where we're up with Siscani, we've got Nagano and John with Pleasant Man. We're all going head to head there. We love it. So yeah, forecast and tricast for Bar Stewart's punters there, I think, John. Catherine, I'll come back to you for an Irish angle, and you can certainly wow us now with your second choice.
Okay, I was a bit I was really caught of what to put from. I didn't know which one to put as second or which one to put first, but I think I've kind of done it. So, Galway on Friday, the 2 mile 7 handicap hurdle. Decor Elon Day of Noel Kelly's. You remember this horse coming 4th to Tyne Hill at Aintree. Has had a nice little spin out on the flat over a totally inadequate distance. This horse needs every inch of an extended trip, and he ran an absolute blinder at Aintree. He doesn't mind coming up the hill. I think that he will win that 2 mile 7 handicap. I'm just very interested to see who will ride him. He's normally ridden by Noel McParlin, who's ridden by Jodie McGarvey at Aintree. And so just trying to find a little bit. I did have a little bit more info on him, which seems to have disappeared under my nose. But yeah, I mean, obviously there aren't any prices or anything out yet. But yeah, I'm interested to see who's going to ride him and what his price will be, and I will be all over him.
Yeah, I mean, only thing you'd just say for Dico Erlande, he wouldn't want the ground quick or on the top side. I mean,
I don't think it will be.
No, I mean it's currently good, but I haven't looked for any going updates at Galway, so or weather. So, but I mean, Dico Erlande is definitely his best. He's with a bit of cut. So it'd be nice if there was a bit of cut. But like you say, I mean, fourth to Time Hill, in the Ryanair Stayers at Aintree, he's very strong form. So an interesting choice. Dico Erlande for Noel Kelly is Catherine's second best choice. Andy, I'm coming to you for your second best of the week.
You knew I couldn't resist the Goodwood handicap over 2 miles 5, although they should stick a few hurdles in it, and that'd be.
I've got one in here as well.
But,
so
all right, okay.
We're doing it again. Go
right,
on.
okay. Well, mine's for the Easterby duo, Spittin and David Easterby, Elysian Flame. He won earlier in the year at Newbury off a mark of 91. Then he fell out the stalls in the Chester Plate when he was fifth to the thrown-in Green Book. Completely blew the start and ran an absolute belter when he was third last time out behind Rashun and MC Muldoon. And I've got a little aside on MC Muldoon in a minute if I'm allowed, because he's got a load of entries at Galway this week. But I thought Elysian Flame ran a really good. I actually thought he should be would be a better hurdler than he has been over the winter. But I thought he was. I just thought he got badly hampered last time out. Didn't gain a positive pitch. He gradually worked his way back into the race, but the winner was gone beyond recall. He was hampered again 2 furlongs out when he was just starting to make the ground up on the leader. I guess you could say the race just didn't work out for him, and he's generally held up in races of this type. And I think this 2 miles 5 will really suit him. I don't know they're going to get to ride him. I haven't seen if he's actually jocked up yet, but it'd be interesting to see.
Danny stood up.
All right, well that's good. You can switch him off right out the back. I've got a feeling that he's just he might not be as good a hurdler as I thought he was going to be. I've just got a feeling he just might be able to outclass this lot in this field. And I just think he's got a nice turn of foot at the end of the race. The side issue here, I just wanted to mention MC Muldoon, who was second last time out, who didn't get a great ride from Ryan Moore, to be honest with you. He's still got an Ebor entry. He's got 3 Galway entries this week, and I just thought he might be worth keeping an eye on over there. I don't know what Catherine's thoughts on that, if she's cropped up on MC Muldoon. He's got 2 over hurdles and 1 on the flat as well. And I did think, looking further ahead, immediately I'd seen this horse run. He's in over 12 furlongs this week, but immediately I'd seen him run second in this. I just thought he was just so much like Low Sun, Stratum and Great White Shark, all of which are in common as the last 3 winners that Mr. Mullins has won the Cesarewitch with. And he just strikes me as one of those for later in the year as a possible Cez horse as well. But I certainly think Elysian Flame will be should be up there in that Goodwood handicap. So come on, which one are we going head to head with this time?
No, that's a very good shout, Andy. I mean, like you are correct in your assertion that when my selection, Green Book, I used to own this, by the way. Sorry, I might have mentioned that before. Yeah. Yeah, no, just shameful. He obviously won the race, made all with an armchair ride for Franny. And I totally agree, because I'd backed Elysian Flame pre-play, and it was a nightmare run, absolutely nightmare run for anyone that's backed. It was just absolutely can strike that run. I was very impressed when Elysian Flame beat Almigwar at Newbury, because Almigwar got the race in the bag, and Elysian Flame showed that turn of foot that Andy had pointed out to wear him down, and ran perfectly well, went third to Reshun last time. Like I say, he's probably going to be very, very strong form. However, Green Book, he's a slow burner, and I suppose I'd not got the patience to keep with him. And the thing for me was when he won at Chester, I think he's very unexposed. He's gearless. The horse is completely gearless, but he can gallop. He could do 46 miles. He literally is. He'll not stop. He's like Forrest Gump. And the beauty with this Goodwood race is it favours the front end, because it's very difficult to get the pace right over this 2-5. You go down the hill, into the turn, up the hill, they get the breather in. It's really difficult for a lot of them to sort of held up out the back to sort of get a handle of how quick they're going. So, it's not many races over this trip. And the thing with Green Book is he goes from the front. And secondly, that run in the Queen Alexandra, well, you're quite amazed how he's not got put up. I mean, how has he not got put up? I mean, Stratham 112, the second horse 91, fair enough. Grand Vizier 105, Staghorn 108, and Green Book, well, he's gone up 2, a token 2. But I thought he ran a blinder in the Queen Alex. And he's got the perfect running style for this. So Green Book, anti-post for me, I thought was a massive bet, especially with the weather. It's not going to be good to firm. So, he was my second best bet of the week. So me and Andy there, Elysian Flame and Green Book fighting out the finish in the forecast for the bar, Stuart. We now move on to your special 6-4 ones, everyone, where you can have a bar Stewards Yankee, all our best bets of the week. Here we come. And I'm going to start off with you, Andy, for your best bet of the week.
Right. Well, I've got my shagging shirt on, so you know where I'm going.
Yes.
Stewards Cup, Hurricane Ivor. He should have won last time out. I mean, he got done completely by the draw last time out. I've had my eye on this horse for quite some while now, and handicaps on the straight course this year have provided a rich source of draw bias and winners because of that. And as with last time out when he ran there in a pretty decent handicap, it was a heritage handicap. I know not which one, but it was sponsored by Betfred. They split into 2 distinct groups. The slightly bigger group raced on the stand side, and they filled 7 of the first 8 places. Now, the odd one out was Hurricane Ivor, who from stall 2 didn't have much option but to stay on the far side of the track, but finished well clear of his rivals within that group. He beat the rest of them by 4 lengths or more, and that was the second week in succession that Hurricane Ivor had been rather unlucky, having been involved in the Sandown photograph debacle the previous Saturday.
Yeah.
He was only beaten a short head in this competitive heat by a previous course and distance winner insignificantly. He didn't actually go up an awful lot for that, and hopefully he'll get an over the Stewards Cup. You're going to have a little bit of good fortune with the draw, but I'm sure there's a big handicap in this. I think he needs either a stiff 5, which you probably got at Ascot, or a quick 6, which you certainly get there. And in the light of his last 2 performances, I think he's probably one to follow. He's got a £6 penalty for this. He's in off 100. You need to normally be pretty classy to get in this race these days. He's won off 94. I almost consider him a winner off 99 last time out. He won on his 2-year-old debut when he was trained by Fabrice Chappé over in France, and he also won over 6 furlongs there. And he has won with cut in the ground. So if it does stay a little bit on the wet side or doesn't dry up, although the weather forecast doesn't look too bad for the week, I think Hurricane Ivor for the old shagging shirt is my best bet of the week.
Fantastic. Hurricane Ivor for Andy, best bet of the week in the Stewards Cup. As I said, probably one of the unluckiest horses in training at the moment, having won the race at Sandown and possibly a bit desperate also to get beat last time. Totally see that. I'm going to go for my nap of the week against Andy. Yes, like we do all week. We may as well stick to type and have our three best bets against each other. Atalanta's Boy for David Menuzier. He probably might not get in the race. He's number 40 on the list. So basically, if you back your horse and he's balloted out, you'll get your money back. But I strongly recommend an anti-post wager. Nevertheless, he might go for the consolation if he is balloted out. But this horse loves Goodwood. Basically, 3 from 4 here. This is his track. He'll love cutting the ground. Goes on a quicker surface as well, but just loves Goodwood. Absolutely adores the place. And I just think Atlanta's Boy is capable of an enormous run at a very, very juicy 20-1 plus. So that would be my best bet of the week at the prices. I love it. I love this horse at this place. So me and Andy go head to head in the Stewards. Right, I'll move on to Catherine. Your best bet of the week.
Okay.
The Emerald Isle.
You'll love this. You'll love it. So I'm very pleased. I just looked at the weather for Galway, and rain is forecast every day. So hopefully that spells good for Deco Oil on day. So my best bet of the week is in the closing 2-mile handicap on Tuesday, the Latin Quarter handicap. Now I know when I said I like top class flat racing, I do of course, but another thing I love about flat racing is the filthy Irish long distance flat races. They are absolutely superb. And if jumping was to cease, then I would just have to concentrate on those. But anyway, so I'm going with Crown's Major of Emmett Mullins.
I'd guess that.
Yeah, it's superb because obviously he won the 2-mile bumper at Punchestown. He's had 3 spins on the flat, 4th, 3rd, and 3rd. Goes back to 2-mile here. Now, if you read the race reports for every single one of his flat runs, it says kept on inside final furlong. Funny that. He's put Sam Ewing on board here. Obviously, Sam's fantastic, and he takes the 5 off. And I just think it's got a beacon on it, hasn't it?
Was that the one called Tom, Dick, or Harry?
Yeah, I know. I think this one must be Tom.
Oh, Dick and Harry are running later in the week.
Yeah.
So Crown's Major, and you haven't got long to wait, folks, because that's on the Tuesday, and we might be desperate by 8:15 at Galway after we've all done our puddings at Goodwood on the slop. It could be like Catherine Fry to the rescue with a lovely last minute Galway winner to save the day, and the gin can then flow. So Crown's Major, a very good nap from Catherine Fry, 8:15 Galway in the Latin Quarter handicap to save us all on day one of the Goodwood meet. John, so I hope you've not fallen asleep. I haven't forgot yet. I have saved the best till last. So John, your best bet of the week.
The best bet of the week for me is Trushan in the Goodwood Cup.
Ooh.
Some people might have been a bit disappointed with this in the Pitman's Derby. I certainly wasn't. I thought the Pitman's Derby was run a little bit like the Melbourne Cup, where they go to sleep halfway around and just crawl for 6 furlongs, and I think that caught him out a bit. But I think back on a turf surface with a nice bit of cut against a rival it could be said is in decline, I think this goes there with a very, very bright chance. And really, if you take out Stratton, Saran, Priestley, I don't necessarily think the race is that deep. I think this is a fairly solid book, to be honest. He's a nice late season, should come here in good order, and I'm more than happy to rock along with Holly Doyle winning the Goodwood Cup.
Good stuff. Trushan, John's best bet of the week. Saron Priestley in opposition, ground's possibly on against that. Spanish Mission in good form, obviously 3rd in the Gold Cup, and obviously Stradivarius that John feels is possibly on the wane. I actually felt that everyone was crying unlucky in the Gold Cup that Strad had an unlucky sort of passage, which he did, but I didn't think it made the difference that Blogger was saying it made. And yeah, so I think John's made a good choice there. And True Shan at 7-2 for the Goodwood Cup. Any other business in any of the bigger races? Anyone want to touch on any of the bigger races this week? Any opinions?
Yeah, I've got one on the Galway hurdle.
Okay, go.
I think I'm kind of being of a blogger and stallion here, but Belfast Banter's currently favourite at 9-1. But I thought that to do the Cheltenham Aintree double, when the Grade 1 at Aintree, I think this is definitely within his sights. The improvement in form was,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
The carrots. Yeah,
the magic. I hope he's had some more magic carrots inserted, because I think if he has, then this is definitely on his radar. But one that I think could be slightly interesting at a bigger price is the former winner Tudor City. Now he sort of it was absolutely woeful after he won in was it 2018, 2019, one of those he won, and just his form completely tailed off. But it also corresponded at the time that Tony Martin was having a terrible time. Things are a little bit better for the Martin stable now, and he's actually been running not badly on the flat, and he's had a few spins to warm up on the flat, and comes back to the Galway hurdle and is 33-1. So I think that might just be one to just keep an eye on at a bigger price.
good stuff. I mean, what's happened with Belfast Banter? He was a right pig. He kept pigging it week in, week out, dogging it. He was trading at like 1.2, 1.1.
Yeah, I know.
You name it, and dogging it. All of a sudden does the Aintree Cheltenham double.
Wayside through at Cheltenham as well. You can pick him out at the top of the hill, and you watch his passage. And then I didn't expect him to follow up at Aintree in a Grade 1, but yeah. Taking the form book literally, magic carrots aside, it has to. No wonder he's
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay, Catherine likes Belfast Banter in the Galway hurdle. A blogger tip, she says, but I mean, me and John came up with blogger losers Saturday, so I mean, we can't shout anything. Anything else from anyone else? I mean, the Sussex Stakes.
There's another Shagging shirt one I'm quite keen on,
on.
which almost made the list. Dubai Honour, who thought ran a really good race last time out. He's actually also in the one. He's in that 150 on Thursday as well. I nearly sort of thought about him. And there's an old friend of ours running. Pablo Escobar is running as well. And another sprinter I don't think he'll get in the Stewards Cup. Bickerstaff. He ran a really nice race last time out. Certainly a horse I'm keeping an eye on.
But he would be in the consolation.
He'll be in the consolation. If he gets into that, I think he'd be quite interesting, because I think he's definitely a horse I'm keeping an eye on. And there's one other one I've kept a close eye on. I don't think he's going to get in, though. The race he's in, Master Zoffany, one of Richard Fahey's. They're all sort of on the... They're the named horses on the tracker at the moment, apart from Tom, Dick and Harry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still
good stuff. Good stuff, Andy. John, anything else from you that you sort of took your eye on the week?
Not really. I wasn't really liking Creative Thought in that 7 furlong race.
What, is it the Lennox?
Yeah, I'm somewhat concerned about the draw, though. I think a rails draw might just knacker things up with the Doyler riding. And I think I'll probably end up backing Kinross small each way instead, because there's very little chance of that one trying for a run up the rails off a 13 draw.
Well, Kinross will love the ground as well.
Yeah.
That will love the ground. So that's 8-1 currently. That won't be 8-1 come post time. Pretty certain of that. Right. So I hope you've got all our bets. We've clashed in a few, but that's good. That's good. It might coincide with your views, and then therefore it might boost your confidence to go forth and blast some cash on. Right. We'll be back, me and John, ourselves on Wednesday. We'll be covering Goodwood. Thursday and Friday, just having a little look. We just do a little short show, just mid meeting, and apart from that, we'll be back on Friday as usual and Sunday sermon. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks to Andy, thanks to Catherine, thanks to John for the input tonight. It's been grand, and we'll be back soon. Bye for now.